All right, first and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and a sincere salutation to the Akim, pushing this truth and sincerity by Shem Ruach Kodash. As you can see, the title of this is Man Has Two Login Attempts Left to Access 220 million in Bitcoin Before It Is Lost. Okay, by Alexandria Garrett on July 12th, 2021. So let's read it. I saw this and thought it was worthy to do a video. We ought not to lay up treasures, in heaven, but we ought to be rich towards the Most High, man. Rich in faith, rich in knowledge, wisdom and understanding. But let's read about this man. Okay, this is Stefan Thomas, a German programmer living in San Francisco, owns 7,002 in Bitcoins in a digital wallet, which is worth 220 million. But the programmer can't access the money because he lost his password, according to the New York Times. He has tried 8 times to guess the code, but with no success. Now, Thomas has just 2 more chances to guess his password correctly before the money is lost. The hard drive, known as Iron Key, where Thomas Bitcoins are held, allows users 10 attempts to correctly guess their password before encrypting the contents permanently. Bitcoin also can help Thomas since it doesn't store its users' passwords. Instead, it gives users their own private Iron Key, which only they have access to. I would just lay in bed and think about it, Thomas told the Times. Then I would go to the computer with some new strategy and it wouldn't work, and I would be desperate again. Thomas was given the Bitcoins as a reward for making a 2011 animated video, What is Bitcoin?, explaining the cryptocurrency. The programmer said he lost the paper that the password was written on that year. Since receiving the gift, Thomas Bitcoins have fluctuated in value over the 3 years, but surged last week. Let's skip down. For now, Thomas said he has placed the Iron Key in an undisclosed secure facility in the hopes that someday cryptographers will be able to help him crack the password to his digital wallet. Thomas told the Times that he also moved the Iron Key to preserve his mental health. I got to a point where I said to myself, let it be in the past just for your own mental health, he said. Thomas is not the only user to have a fortune locked away. According to data from Chain Analysis, approximately 20% of the existing 18.5 million Bitcoin have been lost or abandoned in digital wallets. That equates to nearly 140 billion. So you see, Mr. Stefan Thomas is not doing too good these days, According to this article, he has money stored on a hard drive, but he can't access it because he forgot the password. Okay. It says, let's run this back. He has tried 8 times to guess the code, but with no success. Now, Thomas has just 2 more chances to guess his password correctly before the money is lost. 220 million. The hard drive, known as Iron Key, where Thomas Bitcoins are held, allows users 10 attempts to correctly guess their password before encrypting the contents permanently. You see? So what does it matter, if he has 220 million in Bitcoin? If, the password, is lost, it's forgotten, okay? And the security, the security code, if you will, the program or application, Iron Key, whatever the case that is, the hard drive known as Iron Key, it only gives you 10 attempts before your contents are encrypted forever. What does it do him? Having all this money, man, he can't even access it. It's to the point where he just stored it. He put it away. It says for now, Thomas said he has placed the iron key in an undisclosed secure facility in the hopes that someday cryptographers will be able to help him crack the password to his digital wallet. So he had to put it in a secure facility, man. He had to put, just so that he can, not get upset, I guess, or lose sleep, because he doesn't want to waste those last two attempts, which will have him, to be locked out, of his attempts to be able to get his money. So he had to store it in a secure facility, man, hoping that someday cryptographers will help him to crack the passcode, password, And I saw this and remind me of this parable in Luke 12, because, what does it matter, man, if you store up, things like this, if you can't be able to access it? This guy, for all he knows, man, he could pass away and never access the money, man. He could attempt to open it 2 more times and be wrong, and then, his thing is locked forever, So this reminded me of this parable, and we actually went into this the other day at camp. This is Luke 12:15, and he said unto them, take heed and beware of covetousness, for a man's life consists not in the abundance of things which he possesseth. Right? The things, see, your life is not about how much things you possess. Unlike the Floyd Mayweathers of the world, where, they think that having a $18 million watch, or, having all these vehicles and having all this material stuff means that they're actually somebody important. That's all covetousness. That's all, wanting to have, gain, in this world. What is it? Covetousness, greedy desire to have more, covetous avarice. And that's how people think nowadays, man. They want to have more and more and more.
Strong's G 4124, Pleonoxia.
Right. So we have to take heed of covetousness, of wanting, being greedy of gain, because your life doesn't consist, in how much things you possess, man. Don't matter how many mansions you got, or how many cars, or how much Bitcoin, or how much anything. As you see, man, this guy, his security, his security password, that he has for his Bitcoin is so good that, he's already down to 2 last tries out of 10, until and after that, it's going to be lost forever. He ain't going to be able to get inside. So, what does it matter if you possess all these things, man? It says, and he spake a parable unto them, saying, the ground of a certain rich man brought forth plentiful. Okay. And he thought within himself, saying, what shall I do? Because I have no room where to bestow my fruits. So this rich man, I guess, his ground brought forth, plentiful. He produced much crops, Let's see. To be fertile, bring forth plentiful, right? Abundantly. And it's kind of like this man, that video he did for Bitcoin, brought him money. What does it say? Thomas was given the Bitcoins as a reward for making a 2011 animated video, What is Bitcoin? Explaining the cryptocurrency, so that Bitcoin since has gone up in value. Since receiving the gift, Thomas's Bitcoins have fluctuated in value over the years, but surged last week. You see? So The ground of a certain rich man brought forth plentiful, and he thought within himself, saying, what shall I do, because I have no room where to bestow my fruits? Okay, so this rich man, he had no room to bestow all his fruits, man, what he had brought forth from the ground. And he said, this will I do. I will pull down my barns and build greater, and there will I bestow all my fruits and my goods. Okay, so this rich man thought to, build a greater barn, you know. And the NLT, then he said, I know I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and then I'll have room enough to store all my wheat and other goods. Okay. Like this guy, he had all this money in the Bitcoin, and it fluctuated. It went up. Okay. Then when he couldn't access it, what did he do? He put it in a undisclosed safe location, and hoping that someday somebody will help him crack the code. Now let's go on to read, okay, what this man in the parable did. It says, and I will say to my soul, soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. Take thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry. But the Most High said unto him, thou fool, this night thy soul shall be required of thee. Then whose shall those things be which thou hast provided? Right? So, in the same way, this fool in this parable, he's like this Stefan guy. He's like this Stefan guy, Stefan Thomas, because this man, his Bitcoin, although it fluctuated, he couldn't get in. Then he went and put it in a undisclosed location, okay, for who knows how long. Okay, so he said, you know what, for peace of mind, I'm just going to leave it there in hopes one day I'll crack it. So it's like he don't even have it, But that's like this guy in this parable. And I will say to my soul, soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. Take thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry. And that's how it is when people get money, and they store it and they just kick back, they eat, drink, and they're happy, and they think they're good. They living off, their bank accounts and their wealth and what they've accumulated over the world. What they've accumulated in the world, But just like this fool in the parable, this Stefan Thomas guy, man, he has his locked away in an undisclosed location. He might not ever crack the code. He might die and never access the money. His last two attempts might fail and he might never access the money, So let's end it out. This is Luke 12:20. But the Most High said unto him, thou fool, this night thy soul shall be required of thee. Right? So, he actually died, this fool in this parable. Then whose shall those things be which thou hast provided? Yeah. So who's going to have those things which that came forth out of the ground? Who's going to have all that abundance of fruit? Nobody. It's going to go to waste. It says, so is he that layeth up treasure for himself and is not rich towards the Most High, right? Because you can die having all kinds of, possessions, thinking you're somebody in the world, and in reality, to the Most High, the Most High don't even know you. You're not rich towards the Most High. All that is gone to waste, And who's going to use that money?
Strong's G 4147. Pluteo.
To be rich, to have abundance of outward possessions, metaphor, to be richly supplied, is affluent in resources so that he can give blessings of salvation to all. Right? So is he that layeth up treasure for himself and is not rich towards the Most High. Right? Such people, they lay up money, and they die never having spent all that money, and what's going to happen to it? People, they'll be so greedy, they don't even leave nothing to no one else, and that money just goes to waste. What did it say here? At the very end, check this out. What did it say here? It says Thomas is not the only user to have a fortune locked away. According to data from Chainalysis, approximately 20% of the existing 18.5 million Bitcoin has been lost or abandoned in digital wallets. That equates to nearly 140 billion, right? See? What does it say? Then who shall those things be which thou hast provided? Why? What's going to happen to that? Who's going to get the money? It gets lost. So is he that layeth up treasure for himself is not rich towards the Most High. You see? This is Matthew 6:19. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, right? Don't store up treasures on earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, right? Because moth and rust, it corrupts treasures. If you ever have anything of value, even if you put it in a box and put it in the attic, dust, and worms and things, it decay. You know what I'm saying? That's how the Heavenly Father does to, he'll let that happen to things of material possession so that you can see that it's not worth storing it like that. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth where moth, rust, and doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal, right? Thieves break through and steal, right? People can come break through your house and steal your stuff, if they know that you got things stored up. And even in the day of tribulation, there's going to be people looking, and breaking into houses and spoiling goods. You see, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through and steal. You see, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through and steal. And that's basically speaking of, heavenly treasures, doing the work, being charitable, following the laws, judgments, statutes, and commandments. That's what it's speaking about. Lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven. This is for where your treasure is, there where your heart be also, right? Where you treasure the most, that's where your mind's going to be at. Okay, so if your treasure's on the kingdom and doing the works to get there, then that's where your mind's going to be at. But if it's on earth, on earthly possessions, then you're going to be caught up in that, and you might be in the stead of this man whose soul was required of him. Where he died, never having used any of his stored up possessions. It's really about spending this money, which is this work, being in the business, doing what was ordained of us through Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, the Spirit. Okay, so this could be an example of what not to do. It's not about the things that we have. It's not about the things that we accumulate on this earth. It's more about the spiritual riches, the treasures, that we store up in heaven, our spiritual bank account, like brothers like to speak about, how you do the works and you do it in truth and sincerity and in the eyes of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and he sees, and you have many works laid up for you, that prove that you have faith, prove that you believe in Yahweh Shem Yahushai, being spiritual, by doing this work. Mainly it's, doing the work, being fruitful, in this knowledge, in this ministry. All right. So Lord willing, this was edifying. I thought this was, worthy of a video, thought provoking, and, some, Lord willing, some edification came out of it. Lord willing, to the next time, I say shalom.